Peace, world. What's going on? Hope everyone's staying nice and safe. Appreciate you tuning in today. So, look, let's get straight into it. So, over the past several weeks, have definitely been a very, very emotional time in our country through the opening of states from COVID to the unfortunate incidents from Maud Arbery or with the Christian Cooper situation, racial tension, or now, unfortunately, with the George Floyd murder. There has been an eruption of emotions and there has been, just a large amount of opinions going on. People are hurting, people are in pain, people are fed up, and again, everyone is trying to express themselves in some capacity. And when you have that, right, and often with perception, how two people can see the same thing, you get two different interpretations. That's clearly what's happening in this country, which is why you have such much division and uprising. So one thing I saw, especially with this George Floyd situation, especially the protest, how it's gone from starting in Minneapolis to going to other states across the country to now worldwide in other countries and everything. How this is now a global aspect, and again, we're always left with the uncomfortable conversation and the reality of there are large racial disparities, that racism exists in this country, and that people who are in position of power can definitely be racist. And for Black people, it's a constant reminder, something we've dealt with throughout literally the entire duration of being in this country. And for Black men, I know especially over the past several years with the whole Black Lives Matters movement, we've seen a large amount of Black men, unfortunately, and Black women, but especially a large amount of Black men be killed and were unarmed. And especially in this last, month, from Ahmaud Arbery to Christian Cooper and this, and then of course, Breonna Taylor situation as well. You have people where we're protesting and we're expressing ourselves, but it also gets a fine line, right, between a lot of people I know are making these big emotional posts and it's almost begging and pleading for our lives at some point in capacity, and it gets to a point where it's like, are you protesting for your life matters, or are you seeking white acceptance validation? And when I say that, due to white supremacy and racism throughout this country, dating back to slavery, to Jim Crow, to Reconstruction, to civil rights movements, to all the different policy and legislations and negative things that are put in place to hold back and oppress the Black community in this country, there has created obvious disparities, especially from economically, financially, educationally, to almost every social economic condition. And because of that, a lot of Black people psychologically may fear some type of being inferior or maybe not being equal to white people, and that creates this subservient mindset sometimes. And so it's like that the white opinion sometimes holds more weight and sometimes more higher metric of success and value, and that we're constantly are trying to seek and get that approval because we're trying to constantly prove that we're equal in some aspect. So, for example, a couple years ago, we had the whole protest of the Oscars, right? And this hashtag Oscars so white, because there was a lack of representation of Black people being nominated for different awards, right? And it's like it's like the same aspect of the Grammys when Kendrick Lamar, Malcolm Moore winning a Grammy over Kendrick Lamar. I understand the importance of like the Grammys and Oscars, right? How these award shows seem to be the high metric of success in entertainment fields, right? But at the same time, it's like part of the reason we're complaining stuff because we want the acceptance and validation. I just think that I understand the importance of being an Oscar, but at the same time, why don't we hold the Oscars in the same astute as a Soul Train Award, or why don't we hold a Grammy in the same aspect of a BET Award? Meaning that like, why isn't that when Black people, our peers, are the ones that are celebrating us? Why do we need basically white people to have to celebrate and recognize us for us to think that we made it in some type of metric of success? Because again, it's the psychological white validation acceptance piece that we constantly need them to okay us for us to be okay, that we don't hold the same weight of a Black person saying, yes, we did it. So it's a slippery slope. And then, that's what I think is really happening with this situation here in terms of why people are constantly seeking white people's opinion and having to speak on these issues. And I understand it's very important to obviously everyone be aware and talk about these issues and not ignore them, sweep them on the rug. But it also gets to a point where we are becoming very, very dependent in acting as if that opinion carries more weight and metric in this situation. And in some aspect it does, but some aspect it doesn't. Because one part we keep doing sometimes in the Black community is when we constantly are always comparing ourselves to white people, of course there's obviously going to always be disparities and stuff like that. And we take away some power we have because we get in this kind of mindset of, well, they can do it, we can't do it. And one, example that more prevalently was weeks ago, you saw with the COVID protest, and these people were out here and they were protesting and down their the capitals and downtown and different places that their constitutional rights are being violated by the stay-at-home orders and everything, right? And the people were out there as white people with armed AR-15s and weapons and stuff and everything, right? And they were out there protesting, and a lot of people had some issues because again these people they weren't arrested or anything like that, and people made the comparison that Black people had done this, then we would have been arrested, or they wouldn't let us have that happen and shut down a heartbeat, and all those different aspects, right? And talking about the double standard piece. And from one hand, yes, I do understand that, but at the same time, we take away some power because the notion that Black people can't be armed and have armed demonstrations, this isn't true. Just weeks after this infamous photo, which we saw kind of circulating, right? These white people armed, at the Capitol steps, and saying, people say, yeah, this is why, we can't do that. They can. That's why we protest. It's like, no, actually, these Black individuals actually in Michigan protested on their Capitol steps, armed, and spoke. They weren't taken away or anything like that. They were registered Second Amendment, following citizens. Or recent at the Maud Arbery situation, there were Black leaders that went to the community that were armed. Again, all Second Amendment, card-carrying members, and they went and protested. Nothing violent or anything at all. Or in Minneapolis, you saw that during the riots and they were looting. There were Black armed, lawful citizens protecting their businesses. We can do this stuff. And again, I'm never ever calling for violence or any type of aspect, because I think that will just end badly for Black people in a large capacity. But I am saying, though, we do have some power and influence which we could exercise that we constantly kind of take away from when we constantly think we can't do this hypothetical handcuffs we put on ourselves. And it's like, no, we can't do that. Stop being subservient. We do have some power and influence. So with that being said, right, with times right now and everyone's seeking, again, it's kind of like white acceptance, approval. I think it's like the bar has been set so low where it's like now if a white person just isn't racist, we celebrate and salivate over them. They just tweet out Black Lives Matter and it gets 100,000 retweets and everything. Yeah, and all that stuff and everything. And it's like, look, for starters, right, I definitely, I salute anybody who's non-Black or any white person, right, who's out here trying to bring awareness, who's out here is protesting, who legitimately does care, who is trying to bring unity and bring awareness and stuff. Hey, shout out and salute to you, for real, all right? I'm not trying to take anything away from people who are trying to help. At the same time, you got to recognize, I'm never going to pat anyone on the back or give them a medal for not being racist, for just being a decent human being. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do that. But I think the bar has been set so low that now when someone does, seem like they're for the culture or some capacity, we have to celebrate it. It's like, no, it shouldn't be celebrated. That's how messed up the situation is right now. And that's sometimes we get taken advantage of. Even if you see this Black Lives Matter kind of movement, the protest stuff right now and everything, again, it's about George Floyd, a Black man being killed. But, you see with the rioting, especially looting, people who are inflicting the actual violence and stuff in the cities are non-Black people. These people are oftentimes these white people who are kind of maybe these Antifa or white supremacists. They're coming in and doing this stuff. There's lots of videos of Black people, of taking away, bricks and taking away, them, trying to break stuff up and cause a violent stuff because they're taking away from the actual message and everything. It's getting kind of gentrified. Even in these videos and stuff I see, these gatherings, these white people with hands up and chanting and praying that the Black people and saying they're sorry and stuff. I get the intention behind it, but it's very symbolic in terms of symbolically empty, in terms of not doing anything. It's just white guilt, in my opinion, and you're just trying to get out there. And it's like, I guess a salute to you. You're trying to express yourself, but I don't see it as anything revolutionary, nor do I think it's going to bring any type of change at all. Because in the day, that's not creating any legislation or policy, or are you supporting some type of economic front Because if you're not putting your pockets up, you're not talking about it, then all that talk stuff doesn't really do too much. Not taking anything away from people who are trying to help, but it's symbolic, empty gestures. Same we were saying about the police and everything, how they're taking a knee in solidarity and stuff, and these protests and everything. Man, look, this is like art of war, in my opinion. The police are doing that because now taking a knee and stuff and everything. That was a big aspect of revolution that people did. That was our form of protest and stuff against that, police brutality and everything. And now when they embrace and take a knee, it takes almost the whole power away that you have, because now when they're taking a knee and you're taking a knee, well, who are you protesting against? It's kind of like, it's smart on their part. I don't agree with it, but also I think it's cap, because for past like 4 or 5 years, so black people were taking knees and stuff and everything, especially with Kaepernick and people in the NFL all around. People, especially in that community, said, "Oh, this is this disrespectful to the flag, disrespectful to the police, anti-cops, and everything like that." But suddenly now it's okay to do it. No, this is cap. This is PR stunts. Same thing as well with a lot of these companies and everything. They're out here putting these statements out here, about Black Lives Matters and catching on. It's like, look, this stuff's been happening for years and years and years. You guys could have been made statements and everything. These are PR stunts, because a lot of y'all oftentimes also exploit the black community and make your money off of them. So, I ain't really, following that. So, I think holding our power and emotions is a very big component. Even with the whole Blackout Tuesday aspect. I get the point of, showing solidarity, but some of it, again, when we have this unorganization, a lot of people were posting, Blackout Tuesday and hashtag Black Lives Matters, but we didn't realize what you were doing is that, when you search the hashtag Black Lives Matters, previously you would see these images of protesting or police brutality, or showing these videos, right, of like the police and other people, like are looting and setting the fire, stuff like that, bringing awareness to these situations, right, so the narratives aren't spun. You see like that being the Black Lives Matters hashtag and showing, but instead always was a whole bunch of blackout photos and stuff and everything, which took away from the whole entire movement and voice we had going on. Also as well, I don't think it's any coincidence that we try to hold Blackout Tuesday the same day that there was a lot of voting going on across the country, elections, especially amongst the black community. I kind of feel like low-key is another way of voter suppression, because a lot of people are knowledgeable and they didn't go out to vote because they didn't know, because we weren't talking about this stuff. So again, and even for a lot of celebrities and people like that, especially a lot of sometimes some white people who just posted it, the black square, like, yeah, I'm standing in solidarity. It's like, all right, for some people, again, shout out to you, thank you for trying to, express yourself. But a lot of people, it was kind of a weak cop-out for people who don't really do anything and just put it out there and make it seem like they're doing something. And, all this stuff, sometimes it's like it's just all about for clicks and clout, honestly. Same protesting. There's people out there protest stuff and everything. That it's not about George Floyd. It's about getting out there and taking pictures. And, you saw some people, who are trying to go Instagram viral. I saw this video of a girl who took a picture of this guy who was boarded up a shop with a hammer, and she took a picture, videos. Yep, see, and try to put it on Instagram. It's disgusting, but it's exploitation, opportunist. Same thing with a lot of looters, to be honest. I don't have a problem with the corporate looting and anything like that. Most looters, though, in general, though, are just not with George Floyd. It's just opportunist. Call it what it is. I don't know. Justice. No peace. Until there's justice. But at the same time, it got to be organized some capacity. So I think that's very important to kind of keep in mind about where we're focusing our energy and kind of just like where it goes, because I think that there is definitely a time and place for a lot of stuff, and we need to keep pushing, because I feel like we live in the Mandela effect. We forget that we just did this like 4 or 5 years ago as well, literally this whole entire like routine of a black person being killed, outrage, protest, riot, loot, officer gets off, no policy legislation passed, rinse and repeat. So I hope this time that we are trying to learn from the past and everything and keep momentum. I think, we've seen a lot of growth. I think the fact that we can get back to this is good. But we need to have the direction, especially the boycotting piece. We're not trying to boycott, use economic power, then nothing's really going to change in a large capacity. I don't see a point of trying to explain white privilege and stuff like that and things as well, because, explaining privilege to someone and expecting them to give up their privilege for you it's kind of futile to some regards, to be honest. I think it's more on the awareness, but I don't think that's the way to go about it. So we need actual policy, legislation, and change, using our power and influence we have as American citizens, stop living in fear, take back our lives, keep moving forward, keep the foot on the gas, pressure on their necks, and that's the way we will actually get some type of change. But we got to stay strong, consistent, united. We can't be drawn apart. We got to weed out the negativity and keep us all positive movement. Stop getting caught up in the symbolic gestures and the different empty things they give us. We need tangibles. And that's the only way we'll get true progression out of this. So that's my input on this. Make sure you check out my podcast, Well Connected, on iTunes and SoundCloud. Check out the link in the bio. Until next time, stay tuned, stay hip, stay connected.